Live Live Podcast with your host, Jose Arqueta. Live Live Podcast.
Aaron, if you're watching this video, you better come in here quick, put some insulation because I'm already sweating, bro. And that's how we start this episode today, right? Not to put my buddy Aaron on blast, but we're waiting for the insulation, dog. Shout out to Precision Construction, Aaron Palacios. We're back, guys. I'm excited to be back. I know last week I had like a little 30-minute episode. I was so congested. My allergies were so bad, but I'm back. I'm alive. I survived the week. But with that being said, I'm happy to be back, man. I have a guest that we have a lot in common, and I'm excited to go ahead and kick off this episode, And usually, every episode I start with the proper introduction of the guest that I have here. And with that being said, but before I move forward, I just want you guys to know that this episode is brought to you by Rewind Bar Beauty Aesthetics.
Welcome to Revive Beauty Bar, where beauty meets wellness in the heart of downtown Salinas. Our expert team is dedicated to providing personalized care tailored to your beauty needs. Let's explore how we can enhance your natural beauty. I am here to assess your concerns and recommend the perfect solution. From rejuvenating Botox and RHA treatments to revitalizing skin resurfacing, we have it all to help you glow with confidence. In addition, our IV hydration and vitamin therapy ensures you feel your best from the inside out. Experience the art of medical aesthetics at Revive Beauty Bar. Book your appointment today and discover a healthier, more beautiful you.
And we're back. So today's episode is about stories, the real hustle, right? Every episode, every story that I have, it's about just being real, being real and in hopes to inspire somebody, say like, you know what, if they could do it, I could do it, or, So,
Absolutely.
And everybody thinks that, you have to move out of where you live to become successful. And I've had the privilege to meet so many people that have been successful in this little small town, and I love that,
A lot
You
of
don't have,
opportunity.
you don't have to go to LA, you don't have to go to New York. It's just the hustle and that mentality, right? So today's guest is the living proof that hard work, family values, and relentless drive can take you from loading docks to the boardroom. He's a local leader, a proud father, a husband, and the vice president of a thriving company, ATS. From growing up in Salinas to building a legacy through grit and purpose, today we're diving deep into what it takes to lead, to grow, and to live life on your own terms. Welcome, Colby.
Thank you. I appreciate it. So happy to be here.
No, thanks. Thanks for accepting my invitation. If it wasn't for Kathy,
Mary
from
Catherine.
chiropractor, thank you, Kathy. I wouldn't have the opportunity to meet you and have a conversation before we met face to face, right? And I know that when I reached out to you, I was like, dude, my background, my dad owned a trucking business for like so many years. I was part of it, and you own a bit. Well, co-owner, right? Co-owner of the company,
Yep.
and it's just like I would like to get the intake of like what's going on in the trucking business, right?
Absolutely. Yeah. Like you said, you were kind of on the way out when I was on the way in.
Yeah.
And, a lot's definitely changed.
Yeah, definitely. For those that don't know, my dad owned a company for like so many years. He started as a truck driver. He was working for the Franchonis.
Okay.
And then he worked for so many companies. Like, what was it, that other company in Gilroy? They haul tomato. TBT?
TBT?
Yeah, TBT. He worked for Salas Trucking up in Gonzales. He worked for Valley Pallet back in the day. He worked for those.
Yeah, they're still around.
Yeah, they're still around. And he decided one day to take the leap of faith, bought his first truck. It was a Freightliner.
It's a good truck.
98 Freightliner. But his dream truck was always a Kenworth. Always a Kenworth.
W900 or?
Yeah. So right now he
Video
has a
sleeper, big
yeah,
boy.
yeah, and so he was doing so good. He was working with this company in LA called Desert something. He was salt hauling for them. They were renting the trailer for him and stuff like that.
Desert Coastal, maybe?
There you go, Desert Coastal, yeah. And he was doing so good that he bought another truck. And then it was the Kenworth, and he bought another Kenworth, and another Kenworth, another Kenworth. Next
like a
thing,
drug.
yeah. Next thing you
the
know, we have so
addiction.
many trucks. I was like, damn, trailers, And it was just seeing my dad hustle, dude. Seeing my dad always on the phone, talking to the drivers, hiring drivers. And as he grew, we had to do like programs like alcohol and drug
Oh, yeah.
program. We had to do like we were getting audited,
Safety,
Yeah,
logbooks.
yeah. It's like things that we didn't know that we were learning as we were
Right.
growing, right? And it's just, but one of the things that I'm always gonna remember is that to this day that my dad, every Christmas or every Thanksgiving, he'll buy all the drivers turkeys and hams.
Hook them up.
Yeah,
Yeah. No, that's what
and-
you got to do. You got to take care of your drivers.
yeah. And then every Christmas, my dad will give them a bonus or whatever my dad felt that they did that year.
Right.
He will give them a bonus, and then depending how many years they had with them, he'll bump it up,
Of course. Yeah.
And then my dad's always been the guy that you're representing me, you're representing my company, so that truck better look shiny.
Right. My name on the door. not
Yeah.
yours.
So all the trucks had the tires all polished,
Yeah.
super polished. He didn't care how the truck looked, but the tires and the rims had to look
Yeah. All
polished,
buttered down. and-
Yes.
Yeah.
And it's just, man, it was just. Now looking back, I was like, damn, those were good old days, because
Yeah.
I remember washing those trucks.
Yeah. Those were the old days.
Yeah, I remember washing those trucks, but times happen, change happened. My dad started getting older, started getting overwhelmed, burnt out, working and then dealing with the drivers, right? So that's when I came in and I started helping him out. I felt that kind of took a little bit of a workload for him, but yeah, so that's why I feel like, we have a lot in common.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, I know you started a company and, you grew on that company. Now you're the vice president, but we'll dive into that. But I want to know more a little about you. You mentioned that your hobbies are like fitness, golfing.
Yeah.
I'm trying to get back to golf, bro.
Yeah. It's definitely, you have a child and a family and a wife and don't get out there as much as I'd like, but just enough. It's fun to go with friends, customers.
Yeah.
When you're at trade shows or whatnot. And
There was a trade show not too long ago, huh?
yeah, they're every weekend if you want it to be, right?
Really?
Yeah, just doesn't matter depending on the industry.
Mm.
There's just trade shows happening all the time, everywhere. It's insane.
Yeah.
So
There's one that they do every year is the ACT,
TCA,
something like that. Yeah.
Truckload Carrier of America, maybe.
Yeah.
Then they have a couple here in Monterey in the summertime.
Oh, I didn't know it.
Yeah, right there at Monterey Plaza,
Oh.
the hotel.
Mhm.
So yeah, whatever industry you're in, right? I'm sure there's one for filming, podcasts,
Mhm.
sales, insurance, whatever
Yeah.
industry you're in.
Yeah.
I've done. I feel like I've gained a lot of networking and education from
Right.
going to those things. Sometimes in your industry you kind of get in a little box.
Yeah,
of
that's
what's in
true.
your office.
That is true.
And getting out and talking to other industry professionals, what they're doing, what problems are they facing,
Yeah.
how are they overcoming it. You can take bits and pieces and sometimes.
I know you mentioned at your office back in the day. I only had one little computer.
Yeah,
How many screens do you have?
3.
I remember just having one little screen,
Yeah.
just check my emails, wait for that thing to connect.
Dial up.
Yeah, dial up, and then the fax machine was right here, the phone right here, the computer right here.
That's another thing, right? Nobody even uses a fax anymore.
I know that was a big thing
Yeah,
back in the day.
that
yeah.
was people lived and died off of fax.
Fax me
Now,
the PO, all
Yeah.
right? You just wait.
fax me the bills, whatever.
Yeah,
Right? Nope.
yeah, those were the good old days.
Yeah.
The Nextel.
Yeah, the Nextel.
Yeah, like,
Yeah.
oh man, I like that a lot because you would be able to call a driver like, Dee, where you at?
Yeah,
You know what I mean?
push to talk.
Yeah.
Or you could get like everyone on the same network,
Yeah.
right? So then like when we were driving, you could hear like they'd be sending someone over there or over there.
Yeah.
Hey, where are you?
Yeah.
So it's like that was big time technology back in the day.
Oh, it was. I remember when the Nextel came out, my dad was like, whoa.
Yeah.
And then boom, he bought all the phones and now, of course, we bought the cheapy ones, you know what I mean?
Yeah,
But
like
they
the
still,
bricks.
yeah. I remember
The
there
big
was,
old antenna.
yeah, the heavy duty
The
ones. I
work
remember,
ones, yeah.
I remember they came out the heavy duty ones. My
Yeah.
dad got them all yellow, and
Yeah.
oh my god, it was so funny. But then we had to be careful because a lot of guys would use them to call Mexico and call
yeah.
like long distance calls. Be like, hey, what's
What's
going
going
on?
on?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I was like, man, but yeah, nah. I mean, Growing up here in Salinas, you know, you say you went to Palma, you graduated, you went to Fresno State. You know, how was your experience growing up here in Salinas?
It was a good experience. My childhood was more like San Venancio, Corral de Tierra. I went to Toro
Oh,
Park
okay.
School, Washington Union, San Venancio for a year. And then my sixth grade year, we moved into Southside, like right around the street from Palma, behind Nob Hill area.
Oh, okay,
kinda.
okay, okay.
So for me, that was a little bit of a change because we were always in kind of like the country
Yeah.
compared to town. I didn't really want to go to Palma. My dad went to a Catholic high school. He thought, hey, you know what? Like, it's important that you go.
Mhm.
So I kind of got forced, I guess. Took the test, got in, had a great experience there.
Right.
Made a lot of lifelong friends that I'm still friends with today.
Nice.
Had a great experience there.
Did you play any sports there in Palma?
Yeah, so during grade school and whatnot, kind of a little bit of everything, right? Soccer,
Mhm.
baseball, just trying to figure out, hey, what do you like
Yeah.
most? I didn't play Pop Warner or flag football
Mhm.
during that time. Then once I went to Palma, I did play football and obviously fell in love with it.
Yeah.
And I really kind of treated it as a year-round sport.
Oh, nice.
I didn't really want to, do track or do
Yeah.
baseball or do wrestling. It was like, hey, I'm just gonna work out on the off season and just
Yeah.
prepare for football, and
Oh, nice.
that's what I did.
Yeah, just get ready for the next season, you know,
Yeah.
dial in, put up some muscle gains, you
That's
know.
it,
Yeah.
that's
Yeah, no, I went to Alsa High School. Well, freshman year I went to Albertson, then I went to Alsa High School. And I hated playing against Palma because they always lose. I
Yeah.
mean, they were so organized, you know, they were all dialed in, and you know, sometimes it's just the coaching staff who you have, you know. And our
Yeah.
end, I guess it was a little bit of the players and the coaching staff.
There was a lot of pressure.
Yeah.
Especially when I was there. So I was playing like 06 to 2010, and probably like from 2000 to that time,
Mhm.
they were even better.
Mhm.
They were, winning CCS. They were winning state championships.
Yeah.
So as we started coming up, like that level of expectation to win and execute was like really, really high.
Yeah.
So
I think until
kind of
this
a
day,
lot of pressure. Yeah.
think to this day
even
they
to
have-
this
they have the
day,
pressure,
they've
yeah.
kind of changed it up. I feel like when we were, going there, we would always go to the open division, right?
Yeah.
So you're going to play like Valley Christian, De La Salle,
Yeah. all the big-
which the years prior to us, they were successful, but
Yeah.
they also, I don't know what those kids were eating back then, but I mean, you're a little
Yeah.
7th, 8th grader running around, and these guys are seniors, and they were just
Yeah.
massive,
Yeah, they were
massive,
huge.
yeah, just huge, and it's just we didn't have quite that size
Yeah.
that they did, but going up to the Bay Area and playing, like, those guys have that size, and
Yeah.
physicality.
Got it.
So I feel like we would just not do very well in the open
Yeah.
during that time, and now they've kind of changed it up, right? They'll go Division 3, Division
Division-
4, wherever they kind of fit in, and you could see they've been a little bit more successful
Yeah.
now.
Yeah, and I'm glad they did that because for some teams it was not even fair. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Even for like you guys were elite, and I feel like Palma always has that expectation that like they're the best. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
They're the shits. And once you go to another league where they're better than you, you're like,
Yeah.
whoa, okay, that's like an eye opener, and then you
Yeah.
come back to your city and destroy everybody. You know?
Right, yeah, you get put in check real quick.
Yeah, and I like that now they put you in the league that you're okay, you guys are even. You know
Yeah.
what I mean? But now what I see now versus back in the day is that now a lot of coaches get to recruit players from other schools. You know what I mean? It's just like
That could be. I'll be honest. I've been out of it so long,
Yeah.
and I don't have like a son or daughter in that
Yeah.
arena quite yet. So, but it wouldn't surprise me, right? Like,
Yeah.
you see what's going on in college football. Like,
yeah,
some of that's going to obviously trickle down to some high school.
yeah, they're getting paid to play
yeah.
college football. It's
Yeah.
like what?
So it's like, I don't know. I don't think high school kids are getting paid, but
Yeah,
it's probably a similar situation of how college was before the NIL.
yeah, yeah. And like I said, I mean, it's crazy because I've seen it where what wasn't that kid at this other school? but I guess they figure they'll have more playing time here, or
Yeah, better
they'll
opportunity.
better opportunity. So, I think that actually happened to one of my cousins. I had her on the podcast, and she figured that she had a better opportunity in Notre Dame
Oh,
than
okay.
what she did. And
Yeah.
yeah. So yeah, like you said, better opportunity. But so obviously from there you venture off to Fresno State. Obviously, everybody that goes to Fresno State either is kinesiology or agriculture business.
Ag business,
Ag
go
business,
dogs,
yeah,
baby. That's
yeah,
it. Yeah,
yeah.
absolutely.
So you were thinking about doing ag business first before, or
Yeah, I had kind of made my mind up that I was going to do something in ag, right? I
Right.
mean, look at where we live. It's, you know, we're surrounded by it. You drive by it.
yeah,
What facet that I want to work in, I wasn't 100% sure going into college, because I had worked at Pacific Ag Rentals and Spreckles for a bit, so I kind of had some equipment side background. And then once I graduated, I got right in on the trucking scene from high school. So then I really kind of caught the bug. It was just different, right?
yeah,
Like,
yeah.
it wasn't an 8 to 5. It was like
24/7.
24/7.
Yeah.
You're there at 9, 10, 11 p.m. at night, and it's
Yeah.
like showtime, right? Like trucks
Yeah.
are backing in, you're mixing them, you're loading them, drivers are rolling. It was just
Yeah.
like a race against the clock
Yeah,
every night.
yeah.
You
Time
know?
is clicking.
Yeah.
Yeah,
So
yeah.
caught the bug, and actually when I was going to Fresno State, I was working part time. So like after like my second year or so, you could really kind of figure out your schedule. So I would do like a Monday to Thursday class schedule. So that way I always had Fridays off. So I'd roll out on Thursday, come back.
Yeah.
That way I could work Friday, Saturday, Sunday, and roll out Sunday night.
So in high school, you were introduced to the trucking business.
Yeah. Yep.
All right. I asked this question to all my guests, and I forgot to ask it to you. Before high school, when you were growing up, did you have any dream or any aspirations of becoming something besides that? Going to school for career wise, like agriculture. Did you want to be a doctor? Did you want to be or did
Yeah,
anything cross your mind during that young
so-
age?
Just to give you a little backstory. So my dad, to this day, he's still a produce broker.
Oh, okay.
So growing up, being around my dad, they were doing like the trucking side, but on the produce side, right? Buying and selling produce, boom, boom, boom.
Mhm.
And so that was really interesting. And I wasn't a bad student, but I would just say that school didn't really interest me.
Yeah.
So it was like, I was like a 3.2, 3.3 kind of guy, not stellar student. So it was like, hey, like probably not a doctor, not a lawyer.
Yeah.
But also like that didn't really interest me, right? So it's
Okay.
like if it doesn't catch my interest, like you're
Yeah.
probably not gonna study that hard.
Yeah.
Or it's kind of just do what you can to get through.
Right.
And so before my dad became a produce broker, he was actually a truck driver. So that's been in our family. But I always kind of tripped out. Like we would be here, there, wherever. And, my dad would sell a load and he would call his guy. He had his certain truck brokers that he dealt with and he'd be dispatching them and, be Friday, 10 a.m., right? He's picking up a load of melons from Fresno and it's going to Maryland and say, hey, make sure you put a team on it. I need Monday morning arrival. It's like, I would just like, at first I didn't really understand. Then you start to comprehend like, okay, he just sent a load of produce on Friday afternoon from California and it's going 3,000 miles across the country.
Yeah.
And it's going to arrive there on Monday morning. Like, how does that guy that he's calling even make that happen? Like,
Right.
what?
Yeah.
Like, that's incredible.
Yeah.
So that really kind of piqued my interest. So then once I, got into the industry, I was gaining knowledge. And then my dad was like, hey, after I graduated Fresno State, he's like, hey, you could either come to work for me as a broker or you could go do the trucking thing. He thought the way he was seeing the industry, the produce broker is essentially kind of a breed that's dying, right? Like a lot of these shippers and customers, they're all going direct now. need for that
Yeah.
produce broker is kind of going by the wayside, if you will.
Yeah.
Technology, contracts, and just so much information readily available.
Especially technology, because now there's like apps where there's loads being offered for a certain rate, and you just gotta pick it up and send your information. And they're like, as far as your company information, your DOT or
Your MC number,
yeah,
you get
and then
signed
your
up.
insurance and all that, and then boom, you get the load right away.
Yeah. So he told me, hey, my advice is stay in the trucking thing. Yes, technology is going to come, but there's probably always going to be a need for somebody in the trench
Mhm.
because it's so difficult.
And this was like when you graduated from Fresno, right?
Yeah. So this is like 2013.
Let's take it a little bit back.
Sure.
So how did you get introduced to dispatching? Was that when you started working with your dad?
No. So I never worked with my dad. So I was actually dating a girl in high school.
Uh-huh.
This is like a funny story. So we're summer's about to come around. We're hanging out one day at their house, and I'm sitting on the couch, and her stepdad comes home and kind of looking at me.
Who's this guy?
Yeah, no, well, he knew who I was. Right?
Oh,
I was
okay,
around all the time,
yeah.
and we'd been dating, on and off high school 2 years, and he told me, "Hey, what's your plan this summer?" And I was like, "I don't know. I haven't figured it out." And he's like, "Well, I can tell you what it's not gonna be." And I was like, okay. And he's like, "You're not going to be sitting here on my couch all summer doing nothing." And I was just like, "All right." And he's like, "Come down tomorrow and, we'll get you going. Like I got work." Okay, no problem. So showed up and, just got right after it. Like, "Hey, we're going to get you your permit for your Class B. I need you driving around doing local pickups."
Oh, okay.
So that's how I really got into it. So it just kind of all fell into pieces.
So for our audience, Class B will be considered driving like
a straight truck, bobtail, no trailer.
No trailer,
right? So
yeah.
like 26 foot, like all those little mini box trucks you see running around town. So that's how I started, running around town. And for someone that lived in Salinas, like I wasn't really familiar with like Watsonville, Gilroy, San Juan Bautista, South County, Gonzales, King City. And so I started learning, right? They're like, "Hey, you're going to Driscoll in Watsonville, or you're going to Global Mushrooms in Gilroy." So I started really learning like all the places. And then really got a good understanding, like how many cases of lettuce come per pallet, what kind of lettuce is this, what kind of strawberries are these, which that, looking back in hindsight, was like invaluable information to when you're on the dispatch desk.
Yeah.
Right. When someone's sending you a dispatch and you're reading like, "Oh, it's going to be 480 lettuce." You're like, "Okay, like boom, boom, boom. I know this. I know that. I know how many of those come per pallet."
Yeah.
I know how much it weighs roughly. Right. Like, how's the driver going to load it? Right. Like I had actually learned all that from.
Was it because you were curious, or because I know there's some drivers they just back it in and like load it up and let's go. You know what I mean?
Well, so we were doing LTL to Los Angeles and San Francisco every night. So like the best way to describe that for the average viewer is like UPS or FedEx for produce. So you really have to pay attention because it's like you have multiple orders, you have multiple customers, multiple destinations. So like you need to know how to read a bill of lading, right? But to your point, like if you're just getting one pickup going across the country, like the drivers, you could say, "Hey, here's your mortgage. You're signing over your house," and they would just sign it, right? They don't really. A lot of them, they don't read it. So you really have to read. Like, okay, I'm picking up 80 boxes. Like, okay, and then when we would be unloading, I would have to tell our guys, like, "Hey, these 2 pallets is this order," right? We would write the number on there, tag it, and everything. So that's really. It was kind of like you were forced, to read the bill. Understand what the bill is telling you, know that, okay, that's 40 lettuce, that's 42 green leaf, that's 42 red leaf, that's 32 celery, right? So that was kind of like the issue that it was forced, right?
Especially you didn't want to be short. You didn't want to deliver short
and
pallets.
you gotta make sure that you're getting what you're supposed to, and when you're passing it off to the next guy, like, hey, here's what it is.
Yeah.
Boom, boom, boom. This is this. This is this. This is this.
So did the guy have like a trucking business?
He had a trucking company. The dock was located right there across from Salinas Valley Truck Stop.
Okay.
Right on the corner. So it was David Drew Transportation at that time.
Yeah.
And he was kind of the industry leader on the LTL going to LA and San Francisco.
Is that the one right there on Turbine?
Yeah, it was on Turbine.
Yeah.
Now I think it's like a ABF, or it's a dry freight company.
Yeah.
Right, but at that time, that's where we ran out of.
Yeah, because I know Drew was there for a while, and then he moved.
Yeah, they're over on Dayton Street now.
Dayton Street,
yeah.
Okay. Yeah, I remember seeing that spot there. Yeah. Yeah, so you were pretty much the moving pallets out for the big trucks. So
Yeah, so we would make the local pickups.
Uh-huh.
So you're like assisting the line haul drivers.
Yeah.
And then we would be bringing them back all day, all night, to get mixed. So those guys would mix the trucks and then send them to LA or send them to San Francisco. But going back to that LTL portion, it's like, you need to mail a package to LA. You got to have it in by 4 to get 10 a.m. delivery, right?
Yeah.
So it's like we would be leaving at midnight from Salinas and getting to LAX at 6 a.m. to catch the flight, right? With 7 customers on the back with 6 drops.
Yeah.
So that was really the foundation. Like, I learned how to do all this in my opinion, like one of the absolute hardest applications in refrigerated trucking that you could possibly, enter into.
Right.
So that was really like the foundation to take me up to where we are now.
No, I'm assuming those were long hours, right?
Oh yeah, crazy hours.
Yeah. And did you like it right away? You're like, hell yeah.
Yeah. I loved it because it was just and I had a couple other friends that were working, like obviously not with us, but like I had a buddy that drove forklift at Diariga. I had a buddy that drove forklift at Salinas Valley.
You had the hookup there to get loaded quick.
Yeah, so it was like, at a young age, you kind of, obviously you were in the business, it's all about who you know at what place, right?
Yeah.
Like those guys can make your life hell.
Oh, yeah.
Right? Like if your driver's an ass, it's like, you're going to wait. If you know the boys, obviously you got to hook them up, whether, you're bringing them pizza, donuts, beer, whatever, right?
Yeah.
Like that's what makes it all go around. But then, you'd see them there, or text them, hey, I'm in door 44.
Yeah.
And bam, they go grab your clipboard.
Right away.
Get you loaded right away.
Yeah.
Hey, get out of here.
I got to see that with my dad when I was, I think in middle school. We went to Yuma and he checked in I checked in on his behalf, and I was like, oh, dude, Dad, they said the load is going to be ready like in 5 hours. What?
Yeah.
Like, who do you talk to? I talk to this guy. And like, come here. And we go, and he's asking for this guy. And, and I was like, well, he's not in the office. He's not in the shipper's office. Who are you asking for? And he saw his friend, the forklift driver, and they're talking. I'm like, what? And then, hey, they told my son, it's like, let me get checks. Like, it's over there in the back, dude. Don't treat. I got you.
Yeah.
I was like, right. And then I see that my dad takes off, and so I go with them, obviously, and he buys lunch.
Yeah.
And I thought it was for me and him, but no, it was for him.
Right.
So like you said, he hooked them up. So everywhere my dad went, he knew somebody.
Yeah.
And he did told me that. He's like, dude, you just take care of them, they'll take care of you. You know what I mean? So that's like, that's crazy. He brought me that memory.
Yeah. That's what makes the world go around.
The fact that you had friends, you're like, hey, what's up, bro?
Yeah.
I got you, yeah.
Or you're running late, whatever, right?
Yeah.
I mean, in our business, unfortunately, sometimes you're running behind schedule and it's like, hey, bro, can you check me in?
Yeah.
Right.
That's an amazing thing because, you got to build relationships, you got to build friends, you got to build that network, and then this business, like you said, I've seen drivers, sometimes they just go to where I work at, just to talk and hang out because their load's not going to be ready in 5 hours.
Right.
You know what I mean? And it's just like, damn it, And sometimes I've seen my dad wait 3 hours or 4 hours, because it's not ready.
Sometimes you got to wait, even if you got a buddy.
Yeah.
Right? Like if sales is saying, hey, we want fresh harvest on that truck.
Yeah.
Their hands are kind of tied.
Yeah.
Right. But they'll do the best they can.
Yeah. It's on the way. It's on the way. You got to wait.
It's cooling.
Yeah.
It's in the tube, man.
Yeah.
It's not cold yet.
Man. But now, so you love it. Your first summer, you're like, hell yeah, I like it. You went back to school. And every summer you started doing that, right?
Yeah. So I mean, I was working during the weekends. You know, when I wasn't in school, I was working.
Even when you were in school or
Yeah,
regular, you were
when I
working
was
on the
coming
weekends?
back every weekend,
Oh,
every
nice.
weekend. Um, so I just really, really enjoyed it. And I felt like I was getting better,
Right.
and just wanted to learn. You know, obviously, like in that kind of job or any job, really, you know, you got to go through the whole cycle, right? So, like with our deal, it's like you're in the Salinas cycle, then you're in the desert cycle, and learning that whole cycle. So, by the end of Salinas, your first time, you're like, oh, I got this stuff down, right? And then they go, nah, here you go.
Yeah.
Learn it all over again. You know,
Yeah.
you got the time change, you got this. You know, you're way more spread out down there with like Holtville, Brawley, El Centro,
Yeah.
Calexico, Yuma, San Luis. So Coachella, it creates a lot more complexity. So you think, oh, I got all this down.
Yeah.
No, you don't.
Yeah, and then for those that don't know, you know, here in Salinas, California, there's the season where the act business is booming from mid-April to November,
Right before Thanksgiving.
right
usually.
before Thanksgiving. Then everybody packs and leaves and goes back to Yuma, Arizona, because of the time difference, and two, because it's warmer weather. Here it's colder, and they're there from mid-November to mid-April.
Yeah.
Yeah, so that's what they call it, you know, the well, we call it corrida, but yeah, yeah, because I remember going to school and then I'll see my friends leave and I'll be like, "Where are you guys going?"
Yeah.
And I won't see them again until the next semester.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Yeah. See, my dad never got to go because he was working here, but then as he started building his business, then we'll go to Yuma.
Right.
Yeah, but so you're working, you're hustling, you know, you love the business, you go to school, you. What made you stay grounded or still kept going to school? Like, even though you really loved it, you know, did you ever thought like, you know what, man, do I really need to go to school? Should I just do this full time?
Not really. You
No?
know, I mean, I felt like I was really in it at school, and it was like I got to a point where you could see with a counselor, like, okay, I have this many units left. And there was no like, oh, you have to be here for 4 years or you have to be here for 5 years. So there, after my first semester, you know, you go talk to the counselor, and I had taken 12 units, right? First time away from home. Like, hey, I don't want to be overwhelmed. Like, let's just figure this out.
Right.
So then you go into your first advisor with the counselor and say, oh yeah, I took 12 units. And they're like, no, like you took 6. Like those other ones that you were taking, those were remedial classes, right? Like they didn't count. You're like, yeah. I'm like, what? You know, I'm like, I'm gonna be here forever.
Yeah.
So then I started putting a plan together, got my feet, you know, knew how it was going to work out. And I kind of went a little overboard. Like one semester I took 18 units. Next semester I took 21 units. So I was kind of like making up for lost time. And the stuff was more interesting, obviously, than just regular high school. So I did a lot better. You know, I really kind of figured out like, hey, show up every day. That wasn't hard for me.
Yeah.
Do all your assignments. Go to your professor's office hours every now and then. Show face and do the best you can on the test, and you'll be fine. So I kind of used that mentality and that structure to kind of just bang it out, right? And it's like, hey, I'm working. I'm making good money. I'm not even really working full time. I love what I'm doing. Like, let me hurry up, put this thing behind me, and just get to work.
But did you still party though?
Yeah, I mean, I had my fair share. You know, I had my fair share.
Yeah.
You know, so
I mean, you're young. You know, you're making good money. You go to school. You got.
Yeah, you got to have a little fun, right?
Yeah.
But you know, it was just I was hungry.
Yeah.
You know, and
so you were good on balancing things.
Yeah, I mean, it probably depends who you ask, right?
Yeah.
Some people would say, "Hey, he blew through it. You know, he should have did 15 units like everybody else, or 12 units, and lasted the 4.5 years. Been a super senior.
Yeah,
partied harder.
Yeah,
you know. But for me, it was just I was having fun doing that stuff, right?
So you knocked out the university in 3 years.
3 years.
Nice.
Yeah.
Engaging video content can drive your business forward. We specialize in creating professional corporate videos and commercials tailored to your brand. Collaborative ideas help display your vision. Let's elevate your business today. LC1 Productions, crafting stories that matter.
Nice. Well, yeah, definitely. That is, you knew how to balance your life.
Yeah.
And not a lot of people at that age will care to think like, hey, I gotta balance this. They were more focused on partying and
Yeah.
school, right?
Yeah.
You know, my respects to you, dude. Like, you already had that engraved in your head. You're like, you know what? I really like this. I see something out of it. Let me knock this out quick as much as I can. But if I have an opportunity to go have a beer, I'm gonna go have a beer. You know what I mean? That's what's up, dude. I like that. I like that. Hell yeah. Hell yeah. Not a lot of people think like that, guys. Learn from something, you know? So, okay, so you graduate university in 3 years. You knock it out in 3 years. And then you come back, you have that talk with your pops. Your pops tells you, you know what? Produce broker, you know, I don't think it's going to work out. I think it's going to go away.
Yeah.
And you're like, all right. So you go back to driving to...
Yeah, so between 2010, 2013, I got my Class A. I had my Class B, you know, right out of high school at 18, and then somewhere probably I was, you know, 20 maybe, got my Class A. And
let me ask you that. I'm sorry to interrupt you. Class A, did you have to take that course, the trucking course, or?
So I ended up it was a little bit different because I already had my Class B. So I went to a truck driving school for the Class A. But since I already had the Class B, it was really like kind of fast tracked because you already have a lot of the information knowledge, like the pre-trip, the air brakes, all, you know, majority of the stuff, right? You're just working on like your combination. So I kind of just got fast tracked on that. And that's how I got the A. But yeah, I mean, you got to go do the walk around, you got to do the written, you got to do the driving. So that's how I got through that. But when I came back, so during that time coming back and forth, I was kind of more of a utility player, if you will, right? So I had figured out, you know, learning how to do the pickups, where to go. Then it was like, hey, we're short on the loading dock tonight, so I need your help there. Okay, boom. So now I'm
driving the forklift.
Looking at the dispatch, okay, I got to load this. And that translated from, you know, learning how to read the bill of ladings, what the product was. It was just a matter of figuring out how to pick up the pallet and not drop it and get it in the truck in one piece without damaging it.
So by that time, you already knew how to load the product, though, right?
Yeah, so I knew what product was what. You know, I knew how to read the labels. I knew how, you know.
No, but what I mean is like how to position the pallets when you're loading up the truck.
Yeah, right? Like they had to coach me up, right? Hey, you know, if this is the 6th drop, it's got to be in the nose. Then the 5th drop, 4th drop, 3rd drop, or however the drop pattern was.
Yeah.
You would just load off the manifest. And then it's like, okay, how many pallets is it going to be? Oh, it's only 24. I'm going to put them in straight. Yeah. You know, oh, it's 30. I got to put them all sideways. Make sure that they fit. So you learned all that, and then I had kind of transitioned a little bit into doing some night dispatch. So you're just pushing the trucks through, getting them going, you know, finishing their pickups, getting them on the road to delivery. So I had kind of done all those little jobs going through college. So then when I came back, they put me on days. So it was more starting to build the loads, dispatch the loads, sell the loads, coordinate the pickups. And also like during that time at Fresno, like I had gone and I would do like mostly they would send me to the airport in San Francisco. So I'd go, you know, Friday night and go make 6 deliveries in SFO at the airport.
Then, a little tight, narrow area.
Yeah, actually, I mean, I would prefer to deliver the airport over like the market. You go to the market. Well, no, it's,
the market,
like South City, City, Oakland. I mean, that's just straight disaster, right? I mean, you're
Oh,
taking
dude,
a
I'll be
53
shitting bricks when I was with my
50
dad.
yeah.
He's like, dude, like, yeah.
And the guys that go every night, right? They're just flying around the market. Guys are flying on forklifts, pallet jacks, screaming at people.
Yeah.
You know, you're showing up at 3 a.m. They're asking you why you late. You know, it's just like, I needed that product 2 hours ago. You know, it's just like, hey man, I didn't get out till midnight. Came straight. So I had a pretty good understanding of like where physical locations were, what drops were good, what drops sucked, who would hold you up, who wouldn't.
Yeah.
So then when I came back, it was just straight into, you know, daytime building the loads, right? You got all these customers sending you, hey, I got 1 pallet here, 5 pallets here, 2 there, you know, and then figuring out, okay, how am I going to build this? Who's going to pick up what? How are the drops going to be? What's the most efficient way?
Right.
And that was all done paper, Excel, you know, like it wasn't like you just put it in a computer system and hit optimize and it builds a route. It was looking at the maps. Okay, where's this place? What are their hours?
Did you have that big map book with you all the time?
Well, we would have like big maps of like San Francisco or San Jose, all the places that we'd go, right? And we'd have like where all the places were. So it's like, because sometimes you'd get a place, it's like, hey, I've never been there, or it's like a off the wall kind of place. Like we don't go there much.
Yeah.
So you really start figuring out how to do all that.
Did you ever use MapQuest back then? Because I know MapQuest was started to be popular.
Yeah, MapQuest. So, or we were just using like MapQuest, or
because they'll print it out for you and with the directions, with the arrows and stuff like that.
Yeah. Or we would always use like PC Miler. That was a big one for us.
My dad had
McNally.
Yeah, my dad had a maps all over his, like, organized in and this little tray, and he had this big map. It was Map of USA, and it had everything from the United States, right?
Big
and
atlas.
There you go, that one, dude. And I loved it because it just tell you in detail where everything was at, what freeway, what highway, and it's just like, whoa. And then he had specific ones for certain areas, like San Francisco, LA.
Yeah.
You know, the main areas that it was like populated, like, you know, the downtown LA,
like Olympic.
Yeah. And it's
7th
just like,
Street Market.
So it's just like, holy shit. And I remember my dad be like, okay, this is right here. Okay, I know where's that.
Yeah.
Till this day, dude, if I don't know how to get somewhere in LA, I'll call my dad. Where you at? I'm right here, this and that. Or I look on my iPhone.
Yeah.
It's like, okay, you go straight, and then this exit is gonna come out, the name of this,
Yeah.
And then you're gonna take them and make a left. I'm like, all right. And then my wife looks at me, you think he's right? I'm like, yeah, watch it. And you know, I wrote it down, and my wife puts it on the map, and we're driving. It's like, holy shit, your dad does know that. I'm like,
Yeah, if you ask a real truck driver, they'll
That's why right now hearing you talk to me, it's just bringing me a
directions.
lot of. It's just taking me back in the days. It's just like, because I was around that too, you know.
Yeah.
Going with my dad up in the dock, loading dock, you know, watching all the forklifts going boom, flying in, you know, and then seeing how they freaking smash on the trailers.
They don't care.
Fuck up the trailers, you know what I mean?
Yeah,
It's just like, that was one of the biggest issues my dad had. Is like, dude, take care of the trailers, you know. They don't care, dude.
No, they don't care.
I just today a customer came in that one of the forklift drivers wasn't looking. He was on his phone. He had the 4 spreader forks, and he had them up. So he backed him right into the trailer.
Yeah.
So he damaged the trailer. So now guess what? Tater Phone has to pay for that. You know what I mean?
They gotta come see you.
Yeah. So it's like, man. So it's just like, but yeah, man, it's just taking me back, dude, to all those good old days. Yeah. But so you're getting the hang of it. Now you're I guess you're kind of stepped up, you know.
Yeah.
You're learning the dock side now. You know, you learn how to, you know, obviously you already had an idea, you know, learning from the beginning, but now it's like, okay, now I'm in the loading dock. So it sounds like you started moving up.
Yeah, slowly just moving up, right?
Yeah.
You take that next step into that next position, and then the next position, and the next position. And then I kind of did all that for about 3 years. And straight up got burnt out.
Really?
Yeah.
How old are you when you got burnt out, dude?
I was 24, probably 23, 24.
You were young.
So yeah, it was just, I mean, LTL is just, it's a beast, dude.
Yeah.
I mean, it's just nonstop, all night, you know, even with help, you know, you they're calling, hey, we're short this, can I go without it? You know, you're holding up a whole truck with 15 people because one guy's got 20 boxes of snap peas that aren't ready,
Yeah.
you know, and then it's like you wait for them. You got 20 calls in the morning. Why are you late?
Yeah.
Right? Or you cut them. You get the call from the guy the next morning. Why'd you cut my product?
You get a call back. Yeah.
Right. So
Yeah.
it's like, it started feeling like, and we were just doing so much volume. Like you couldn't win.
Right.
Right. And I don't know if it's from being at Palma and just like that winner mentality, like, hey, I want to win. I want to win. I want to win. Like,
Right.
And so I had an opportunity to go to ATS, which the CEO and owner of that time had actually driven truck with my dad back in the early 70s. So kind of small world, how all that kind of played out.
So they reach out to you, or your dad connected you?
No, they had reached out. There was another gentleman that I worked with that he had gone there first. And then he was giving us business, and you know, I was talking to him, and he was telling me, "Hey, man, this is the best decision I ever made. I'm out on the road. I'm meeting so many people. Like, I'm taking trucks all over the U.S., not just California."
This will be like as a truck driver.
No, he was brokering.
Oh, okay,
He was
okay, okay.
brokering. And so it kind of perked my interest a little bit. And I had just told him, hey, if you ever think that there's an opportunity for, you know, position, like just keep me in the back of your mind.
Yeah.
And one day they called and said, hey, you think you could really do this? Well, there's only one way to find out, you know? And so I had made that move about 8 years ago. And I think the timing was really good in regards to, I had got in about a year or two before the ELD, the electronic logbook, became like mandated. So obviously I already had like a pretty good background. People knew who I was, right? Like obviously I was soliciting customers. Some of them were the same customers, but obviously for much different freight. We weren't soliciting local LTL. I was looking for, hey, I want straight loads going to Philadelphia or Florida, somewhere else.
Yeah.
So, you know, I was, people knew who I was. I wasn't just some, you know, random cold call. Who's this guy? We never heard of him.
Yeah.
So I started building my book of business, going to shows, networking, getting referrals. And once I got to where like I'm sending freight everywhere, it's like I'm meeting this carrier, I'm meeting that carrier, really just building a lot of relationships with a bunch of different carriers all over the United States. So weird thing like in trucking, which probably a lot of people don't know, is you can't send a carrier somewhere that they don't go, right? Like I can't send someone that runs to the Northeast to Florida. Like you could pay them an ungodly amount of money. They're not going to go.
Yeah.
They don't have the resources to get that truck back from there. They have built their lane from California to the Northeast.
And that's it.
Right.
Yeah.
So learned all that. And once that ELD kind of kicked in, it really kind of changed the game. Our leadership at that time was very involved. He was on the Hill at Washington, D.C., with the lobbyists, with the ATA, American Trucking Association, you know, knew the director of transportation for the U.S., just really involved. So we really kind of had like a really great understanding of how this was going to work. And a lot of customers had absolutely no idea.
Yeah.
And I know we were talking off air before, you know, before that, it was the Wild West, right? Guys were running 2 logbooks. They had a real one under the seat. They had a fake one on the dash, right? Like it was, you know, unregulated to an extent, and guys were just running hard.
For those that don't know, logbooks is that every truck driver has to log in their hours, their rest time, driving time, and there's like a specific driving time you're allowed to drive, a specific time you're allowed to rest. And back in the days, you know, a lot of them had the one that it was up to standards, and the other one that it was like pretty much you could do whatever you want.
Yeah.
And then the electronic law kicked in because, you know, I guess there was a lot of accidents, a lot of drivers were pushing themselves to the next level. My dad's one of them. To this day,
Customers.
yeah, the
Yeah.
customers are pushing you. Hey, I need this load in 2 days, and some companies couldn't afford another driver as a
Yeah.
team. So those guys had to really, really force themselves to drive, dude. And it's just like, God damn it. And I guess there was a big increase of accidents, and that's the reason why they came up with the electronic logbook. They figured nobody's gonna be able to cheat. I'm sure there's people that already found a way on it. I mean, I don't know, dude, but
I'm sure. I mean, it's kind of like one of those things. Like for us, we trust but verify, or
Yeah.
verify but trust and verify. And it's like if a guy tells me he's got hours, I gotta believe.
Yeah.
Or if he tells me, hey, I'm gonna make it,
Yeah.
like I don't know how, but
Mm.
he gets it there.
Yeah.
Kind of thing, right? But it's like if you're telling me that you're all legal beagle, your logbook's good, hey man, and I
Yeah.
did my due diligence.
Peace.
Yeah. So with that coming in, and I think a lot of to your point too, there was a lot of money thrown from like the mega carriers, like the Knights, the Swifts, the Warners, the Schneiders. They were getting picked apart by the 10, 15 truck mom and pop guys, right?
Mhm.
Because those guys, they're all self-insured.
Mm-hmm.
So the only way they could do that is have an electronic logbook. So all those big mega carriers, they were already on the ELD
Yeah.
prior to 2016 or 2017, whenever that.
Was ever given the opportunity to try them out first than
Yeah.
everybody else?
So those guys were doing it, and they were getting picked apart because all these other guys are running on paper, and they're
Yeah.
getting double the amount of turns that
Yeah.
they're getting.
Yeah.
Right. So what does a big trucking company like that do that has hundreds of millions of dollars? They go lobby on DC,
Mm-hmm.
right? And Congress ends up passing the
Yeah.
electronic logbook. So with that, that really changed the game,
Mm-hmm.
because now it was like you couldn't just be a truck broker and set it up, right? You got to have a little bit more smarts. Like, hey, this load's gonna be tight. Like, I gotta put a truck to get empty the night before, go up there and shut down at the shipper. That way, when he loads tomorrow, he's got a full clock.
Right.
Not, oh, I brought him out of LA same day from Santa Maria, and now he got loaded at 9 p.m. and he has no more hours. He's got to wait.
Next day in the morning.
The next day in the morning.
Yeah. So you had to transition to timing.
Yeah,
like
a lot more
yeah.
timing.
Yeah.
Like, kind of came up with like a deadline departure time. We started figuring out, okay, how many miles is it? Is it a team? Is it a solo? How long is it going to take them if they drive an average of 45 miles an hour, for 10 hours a day? How far are they going to get? So we started figuring all that out, because customers would start getting upset, right? Like,
Right, yeah.
hey, why are you late? Well, you didn't ship the truck out on time. What do you mean? Like,
Mhm.
we always load Monday for Thursday. Yeah, but you got me out Thursday at 11:59 p.m. That's almost, Friday now.
Right.
Right. So giving these customers like, hey, I have to have the truck out by XYZ time to be on time. If you get me out late, it's not on us. It's on you.
Yeah.
So, that was a really big learning curve, but also a really good opportunity, because it really shook up the market.
You did.
And enabled people that understood the electronic logbook, how it worked, and being able to convey that to a customer. You could go get a customer because you were up on game compared to somebody that doesn't.
Sounds like you guys were really on game, dude. The fact
Yeah.
that you guys took that in consideration, looked at the times, figure out a game plan, and just went with it. It sounds like you guys were one step ahead of everybody else. And that's pretty cool, dude, because I remember, dude, even when the car compliance happened, dude,
Yeah.
everybody waited into the last freaking minute to change the units or the engines or get a DPF filter,
Yeah.
And I feel like with the electronic logbook, this happened the same thing, But it sounds like you guys were on it, dude. That says a lot about the company, yeah.
So, really forward thinking on that. And then, kind of fast forward, then obviously the business is still growing, then COVID hits. Right. And that was just insanity.
Mm-hmm.
Any contracted rates that you had out the window. It was literally customers would be sending over lists of loads like, please cover these, right? Like, just whatever it takes, please get it covered. And we really didn't a lot of people got taken advantage of. We really stuck to our roots. Like, hey, we're looking for long-term, sustainable customers. And if we take advantage of customers during this time, like when it flips back the other way, we're going to be in big trouble.
Right.
So we really, I mean, we had to pay, but we weren't price gouging.
Mm-hmm.
You know, we were charging just our fair margin, you know, what we need to make to get it done.
Were you guys still making some profit during that time?
Yeah. So we were, but you know, there were some guys that were, you know, just taking advantage.
Yeah.
And we really saw the long term, like in any market you can look at, like there's peaks and valleys. The higher the peak, probably lower the valley, right? Like you look at right now, I mean, we're just, trucking business is horrible right now.
Yeah, dude, really, really bad.
So we kind of understood that, and obviously with our leadership of, you know, 30 something years at that time, this wasn't the first up and down cycle that had been through. So it was kind of like, hey, you don't want to burn any bridges right now. You know, do your best to cover, charge a fair rate, and do the best you can.
Right.
And that's what we did. And we didn't shut down. You know, our office never shut down. You know, they were saying, hey, you got to work from home. You got to do this, blah, 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 blah.
Like, nah. Yeah.
Yeah, we never missed a day.
You just kept grinding it out.
Yeah, just kept going. If someone got sick, hey, go home and come back when you're good.
Wow. That's amazing, dude. Do you guys have a company like such as yours is that have morals, ethics, and values? You know what I mean? And a lot of companies don't have that.
Yeah, so we look at it, I mean, we're a service-based business, right?
Right,
So we're not trying to be the cheapest guys. We're trying to give our customer the best value, the best possible experience in a transportation atmosphere, which obviously in your background, you know, it's messy, right? It can get nasty.
Yeah.
And it's like, even when it gets nasty, how you handle it, like if there's a problem, always come with a solution. Right. Like just doing that extra effort. And that's what enables us to kind of get away with a little bit extra.
Right.
It's like customer sees that value add.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
So we didn't want to take advantage of that. And we wanted to be able to say, like, hey, you know, we might be a little bit more expensive, but if we tell you the load's going to pick up, it's going to pick up.
We guarantee it.
Yeah. I mean, and if it doesn't, something happens, you're going to know about it. Yeah. Right. Before, you're not going to be calling me like, hey, where's my truck? How come it didn't pick up? Right. And it's like, we'll make it right. Like, if I got to pay extra out of my pocket tomorrow to get a team on it, to get it there on time, like, we'll do it.
I think that's one of the biggest things that I saw that my dad did, was that he always guaranteed that we were going to pick up and we were going to deliver on time.
Yeah.
And if a driver fell because he woke up late or he was just too tired, there were situations where my dad will go with the tractor, pick up the load, you know, swap the trailer, and go deliver himself. Because to him was, I need to deliver. I said I was going to deliver. I'm going to deliver on time.
Yeah.
And I think that stood out a lot from a lot of customers, you know, that kept hiring us because they knew that my dad was like, he'll make it happen no matter what.
Right. And they know things are going to happen, right?
Yeah.
I mean, anybody that's been in the transportation business, like, it's not a matter of if, it's a matter of when. Yeah. So, you know, they might be a little upset, like the driver overslept or he's sick or whatever. But like, to your point, if they knew your dad was going to go himself, and say it's 4 hours late, but guess what? It still got there. Yeah.
Yeah, because there was times that, like, there was a flat tire and then, those road tire guys.
Oh, yeah.
We'll drive, dude, all the way to freaking Fresno or Bakersfield. And me and my dad will swap it out ourselves. We're like, hell, we ain't paying you $700, you know, a night call. If it was simple maintenance stuff, we would do it ourselves. But it was something major, then but for the most part, we will always try to do it ourselves. Not because we wanted to save that extra money, but it's just like we felt that they're just taking advantage. Yeah. That's what they're doing. They're taking advantage, you know what I mean?
And it's gotten worse.
And we see that when we see customers come in, they're like, hey, dude, they changed these alternator. How much they charge you? What? They charge you that much?
$1,500, you know?
It's like, dude, I mean, you rose to become the vice president and co-owner of ATS. How does that happen? How did that happen? Walk us through it.
So I had been working at ATS. Business is going good. My book of business. I'm doing well. I'm thriving. And one of our partners at the time had passed away. And so that opened up an opportunity, and they offered me to buy a small percentage of what he had, and made that investment. That was probably in like 2018, 2019, around that time. And so keep in mind, like I was the youngest of, there was 5 of us then. So I was the youngest by many years. And so then,
Well, yeah, you're the youngest right
you know,
here.
so time's going on.
At Juan Avila Photography, we specialize in capturing decisive headshots and portraits that tell your unique story. Serving Salinas, Monterey County, and beyond, our high-quality images reflect your professionalism and authenticity. Whether for corporate teams, executives, or personal branding, let us elevate your image with headshots tailored to your needs. Book your session today.
Time's going on, and you know, obviously everyone's getting older. We're still building the business, and we started having conversations of, hey, what are your guys' exit strategies? You know, and we got 2 partners. One's 83 and the other one's 85. Like, what's your guys' plan? You know, like what are we looking at? You know, one of them was 67. Like, are you planning on retiring? Are you not planning on retiring? Like, do you want to set up a succession plan? Like, how are we going to do this?
Right.
And we went back and forth for probably about 18 months of spitballing ideas and trying to get 5 guys to agree, ranging from 31 to 83. It takes a little bit of work, right? You can imagine
Different mentalities, right?
different mentalities,
Yeah.
different personalities, different generations. So worked on it, and then came up with a final plan that everyone kind of agreed on. And my partner and I ended up buying those 3 gentlemen out, the oldest 3. And so we took over, and we just looked at it like, hey, you guys have taken it for 40 years. We want to take it for another 40.
Right.
And you guys have had a fantastic journey, and, you know, go sail off into the kind of the sunset with your family and enjoy
retirement
and the money that you're, you know, going to receive.
Wow.
And let us, you know, take the chains off of us and let us run.
Yeah.
So that happened, not this March, but last March. So March 2024. And, you know, it's enabled us. We've made a ton of change, ton of positive change. And it's been, you know, I just feel like the gas pedal's just been straight to the floor.
The office was in Romy Lane, right?
Yeah, that's our office.
Because I remember the house was for sale, huh?
Yeah.
Yeah, I saw it, and I saw the gym, and I was like, whoa, they had a gym in the back.
Yeah.
I don't know it was you guys.
Yeah, so we were behind the Mayo in the bowling alley upstairs for a long time. And we're just like, dude, why are we paying rent? Like, this is stupid. Like, we should pay ourselves, right? So we started looking, and that one on Romy had came up, and that was right before COVID, right? So keep in mind, housing market's crazy, property's crazy. So I think we were like one of 3 or 4 offers, and we ended up not getting it. Somebody else got it, and 3 weeks later, COVID happens. And the people that were going to buy it were going to open a beauty bar, esthetician, hair, all this, right? Well, governor's like, hey, all that stuff's canceled till further notice, right? So they backed out, and they ended up coming back to us and said, hey, you know, are you guys still interested? Whatnot. So yeah, we we took it down and did some quick remodels and moved right in. And now we've gotten to a point that we needed more space.
Yeah.
So we ended up selling it. We were gonna buy a property downtown Salinas. That didn't go through, and then we ended up just buying a office building in Toro Park,
Okay.
right there in the middle by 7-Eleven.
Yeah.
So we purchased that, and we're working on doing a full remodel.
Is that the place that was vacant for a while?
Yeah, still vacant.
Yeah. Used to be like a restaurant or something.
Karate. It was a
Yeah,
dog training
yeah.
place, like a gym.
I know. I saw it empty the other day. I was at what was that pizza place? I forgot the name of it.
Yeah, Angelina's.
Angelina's.
Yeah.
I love that pizza.
Yeah, that's gonna be probably a go-to spot once we move.
Hey,
in
that's
over there.
awesome that you guys are there.
Yeah, so we're gonna be there.
Are you guys hiring?
We are. Come see me. But just going through the process right now with the county.
Nice.
I don't know if you've ever dealt with that, but
No.
first time. But it's wild, man.
Yeah.
Wild.
Yeah.
Wild, the stuff that they make you do to do a renovation.
Oh yeah. Do you have to?
The permits,
Permits and all stuff? You know what's
reports, this, that. It's insanity.
It's like it's crazy. They make it a living hell for small businesses here in Salinas, but for big corporations,
Yeah,
you know,
how is Amazon getting built
quick, dude?
ASAP?
You know what I mean? It's like what the heck, but
Yeah, it's
but-
all money.
yeah. So man, dude, that's an amazing story, dude. How you came from working on summer to loving it, finishing school in 3 years because you were like, okay, I know what I want. Through working from the loading docks to being a dispatcher, and then working your way up to owning the company, dude.
Yeah.
That's at a young age, dude.
Yeah.
That's man, that's a really, really successful story. So, how does your day typically look like, dude? Like, what time do you wake up at 5 in the morning, start making phone calls, or what? Because the East
Usually
Coast.
start like 4:30. That's when
Uh-huh.
I start waking up.
Uh-huh.
I usually try and get to the office between like 5:30 and 6.
Yeah.
So, horrible habit, right? Right when the eyes open, straight to the email, text, right? What
Yeah.
happened? What's wrong? What do I need to fix?
Yeah.
Who's bleeding?
How many fires I need to put out?
How many flowers do I
yeah.
need to put out?
Yeah.
What's going on? And then just jump right into it. And then I started working out during lunchtime, which at first it was kind of like really weird, right? I
Yeah.
felt weird getting off the desk, and then it was like, now it's like for me, that's where I go get my attitude adjustment, reset,
Relax, decompress.
yeah, decompress for a second,
Yeah.
and then be able to come back in with a clear mindset. Because I mean, right? Like,
yeah, it's stressful.
you walk in the morning and it could be a shitstorm, and
Mm-hmm.
you're
Yeah.
like, oh, it's gonna be a great Friday, and it's like some dude just ruined it for you.
Yeah.
So being able to go work out for 45 minutes, come back,
Mhm.
jump back in, and then I usually try and shut it down, 3:30.
Mhm.
But obviously with the cell phone, I mean, it doesn't matter where you are,
Yeah.
and I'm still engaged or monitoring. We have full 24 hours. I have staff around the clock, 3 shifts
Mm-hmm.
every day, every night. So they're like running it, but
But you're
obviously
still involved. Yeah.
you're monitoring, looking, hey, like if they're chasing somebody down, where's this truck? And
Yeah.
the truck's not giving us the communication that they should be. Like,
Yeah.
I can jump in and light a fire. Like, yo,
Yeah.
why are you not responding to my guys?
Yeah.
Right,
Not
like-
only that, but you guys could count. They know they could count on you even
Oh, yeah.
after hours.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
Right,
and
yeah.
that goes to the customer too. Like,
Yeah.
if they wake me up at 2:00 in the morning and I got to reply to an email, like, I'll
Yeah.
reply.
My dad will be like, "Hey, I'm done at 5. At 5 till next day in the morning, you
Yeah.
call Junior." I was like, "Really?"
Yeah.
That was me, dude.
I haven't been able to release that
Yeah.
control.
Is it because you still want to have control, or is it because you're just so used to it, bro, that it's just natural for you?
It's a little bit of both.
Uh-huh.
I think if you talk to any business owner that's built their book of business and
Yeah.
knows how difficult and hard it is to
Mhm.
land a customer,
Yeah.
like to just hand it over to someone else and like, hey, don't mess it up.
Yeah.
That's not,
Yeah.
I'm not sleeping well with that.
I think a lot has to do that as an owner, you value what you do and you value what you build versus as an employee, you just like,
Yeah.
let me do as much as I can because I feel this how much I'm worth per hour.
Right.
After that, it's out of my budget, or I'm not getting paid enough to do that.
I'm not clocked in.
Yeah, so I get it on that, dude. And I mean, my respects to that, dude. My dad, my old man, till this day, he's still like that.
Yeah.
So I don't see nothing wrong with it. The reason why
No.
I'm just asking is because I know, I want people to know that just because you have a business, just because you came up to a point where you're able to, become vice president in your own company, doesn't mean that you let go of the pedal. No, you still keep grinding. You grind even more, right?
You grind even more.
Yeah.
I mean, there's holidays, right? But it's like Thanksgiving morning, like I'm in my office at my house, logged in, right? Just checking this.
How does your
that.
wifey deal with that?
She's really good.
Nice.
She actually worked with us. That's how I met her. So that's actually probably a saving grace. Like she gets it.
She understands.
She understands the struggle.
Just supportive.
Right. Yeah. Like, and she knows like if I gotta go rough, have a rough call, like I'll step out and then it's like, hey, who was it?
Yeah.
And it's like, oh, so and so. She's like, oh, same stuff, huh? Like, yeah, same stuff.
Yeah.
So really supportive.
Yeah.
Gets it, and obviously it's created a lifestyle for us that she gets it.
Yeah.
She knows without our customers, like there's nothing, right? So
that's big, dude. Having somebody there that not only understands the hustle, the work, the responsibility, and they also understand the fact that because of that, we're able to live good, versus like other people, and it's just like that comes along because you got to have that support system. I always say that, dude. As long as your wife or husband is being supportive, dude, you could do anything. You know what I mean? And it's just that's amazing to know. I love my wife. I know she's very supportive of what I do. And I'm supportive. She's an entrepreneur too as well, and her business is growing a little bit.
That's good. Yeah.
And I'm like, damn, girl, slow down. And obviously I'm the employee.
Right.
So I'm actually I didn't know that my Saturdays and Sundays are no longer available to me.
Booked until next year.
Yeah, I told her,
don't
look,
contact me.
I told her, look. When football season starts, you already know Sundays I'm blocked.
Yeah.
Because I'm a big Raider fan. I don't know if you like football, dude.
Yeah.
Who do you like?
I like the Raiders. I like Niners. I mean, we don't have I'm not like a diehard team, right? Where it's like Raiders. That's not me, but I just enjoy the competitiveness.
Yeah.
Right? Who's going to ball out every week?
Yeah.
Let's see it.
Yeah. No, I tell my wife, babe, football season starting, you already know. And she's like, yeah, I know. But I mean, when it's business, it's like my mom came to visit and my wife apologized to my mom. She's like, I'm sorry that I'm not going to be able to spend a lot of time. It's just, I have a lot of orders. My mom's like, no, trust me. I understand business. Because, my mom was supportive of my dad.
Right.
And then my mom got bored and she wanted to do something for herself. She got herself a catering business.
Oh, there you go.
And she was doing well for herself too.
Yeah.
But then, it's like, okay, we're doing too much now.
Yeah. No, I mean, my wife's amazing. I love my wife. Without her support, couldn't do what we do. And like you said, somebody that understands, like somebody that understands, like, oh, why are you logged on Christmas morning? What's wrong with you?
Yeah.
Why are you, and just like the way we have to kind of live our life, right? Like whether we're planning a trip or something, it's like, well, let's not go then because it could be really busy because that's 10 days before Memorial Day, right? Like, and understanding the why behind, hey, I know you need to be in the office, so when's your slow time?
Right.
So we can plan a trip, right? Like, hey, it
But-
kind of sucks for her. Like, oh, my birthday's July 3rd. Like, let's go somewhere. And I'm like, honey, that's just
impossible.
Horrible timing. Can we go 2 weeks after? Right?
Yeah. What is your mindset and motivation? So, like, for example, like, what keeps you pushing forward even in a tough day, dude? I know you mentioned that during your lunch, you like to go decompress for 45 minutes. Do you sometimes take longer than 45 minutes, or you 45 minutes?
So I try and get a 45-minute workout. So it ends up being like an hour and a half, right? By the time I get changed, leave, go work out, come back, shower, eat real quick, jump back in the desk. It's about 90 minutes.
Okay.
So, but that's just like a midday break.
Which gym do you go to?
So I go to Taylor Farms Athletics. It's right there, 26 Central. Yeah. So
Nice.
Taylor Farms, they have a fitness and deal, and they run a lunchtime class.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Damn.
Yeah. So, but that's just to kind of break up the day. But for me, the mindset is just really, there's so much opportunity.
Right.
So much. Like, I don't even think people understand. Like,
Right.
there's opportunity everywhere,
Oh, yeah.
you know, and just like when you have the opportunity in a business or you're a salesperson and you're working and you get paid for what you do, it changes how you think.
Yeah.
Right. And it's just, there's no ceiling. Like the opportunity is endless, you know, and just being open to that. That's what really, and I don't know if it's a like I'm not competing,
Mm-hmm.
right? Like I'm not looking at XYZ company around here or whatnot. Like I'm competing against myself.
Right.
Right. Like, okay, I did XYZ a year ago last week. How do I beat that?
Yeah.
Right.
How
I
do you
did
top
this
it up?
I did this many loads. How am I going to beat that?
I guess that will answer this question. Like, how do you define success today? And what has changed over the years?
I don't know if there's a definition of success. I don't really, or for me at least, but I don't look at like losing. I look at it as what did I learn?
Mm-hmm.
You know, because obviously, you know, in the trucking business, like you're going to lose an account, you're going to gain an account, and you might lose an account and you didn't even do anything wrong,
Mm-hmm.
right? Like the guy that has a great relationship with you and your dad, maybe he takes another job, and the guy that replaces him, he has a similar relationship with somebody else like you and your dad, and he wants to work with them. You didn't do anything wrong,
Mm-hmm.
right? It was just the contact that you worked with left. They brought in somebody else. That guy has his own toys, and now you're gone. So it's like anything that you lose, what did I learn? How can I learn from it? How can I do better? You know, but just trying to be better every single day. You know, that's like success to me. And measuring it is, you know, looking at like, just get small wins.
Yeah.
Really small wins, like every day. Like if you can stack 4, 5, 6 small wins, like stupid small wins
Uh-huh.
every day, it's like compounding interest, right? It just grows and snowballs, and then you get to December and you look at the year and you go, damn.
Yeah.
Right? Like it doesn't feel like it, but then because you're just focused on really small stuff, small, and that starts adding up to get big.
I usually ask this question to all my guests, but this time I tell her a bit different. Like, what will you say to your younger self just starting in this industry?
I think it's anybody. You know, you question, am I making the right decisions? Like if you would have told me 15 years ago this is where we would have ended up, you know, probably wouldn't believe you. I think a lot of people probably think that, right?
Yeah.
Like looking back. But I really looked at just doing hard work, you know, like there's no secret sauce, there's no cream, there's no wrap, right? Like you just have to do the work.
Yeah.
Do the work. You do the work consistently, like long obedience in the same direction for long periods of time, you know.
That's what you tell yourself?
Yeah, well, I mean, I've heard that before, right? And it makes sense, right? You do the same thing, you know, stay obedient for a long time in the same direction, not, oh, I'm going to do this for 3 months. And I'm not really seeing anything happen. So now I'm over here doing this for 3 months. I'm not seeing anything happen, right? Like it takes years.
Right.
And I think it's in any industry.
Oh, I like that.
Whether you're selling cars, insurance, home improvement.
Where do you see yourself and ATS in the next 5 to 10 years?
Hopefully, I would guess I'll still be the vice president and partner.
Yeah.
You know, and we're just looking for growth.
Yeah.
Slow, steady, sustainable growth. You know, you see these big companies or companies that go from real small to real big, real quick, and they
fall real
implode.
Quick. Yeah.
we're not looking to do that. You know,
Nice.
I'm just looking to grow slowly, grow sustainably, and just stack those compounding wins. So, you know, if we could grow, you know, whether that's double, 50%, it's kind of hard to gauge right now with the, you know, the market, the economy, what's going to happen.
Right.
You know, you could project all this stuff, but it's like 1 minute the tariffs are on, not to get political, but 1 minute they're on, 1 minute they're off.
Yeah.
1 minute they're telling us bring manufacturing back, 1 minute they're not.
Yeah.
1 minute it's all American. Like, so it's kind of hard to say like, hey, we're gonna project this because there's so many outside factors.
Right.
You know, we kind of just got to ride the wave.
Yeah. Yeah. Now let me ask you some fun questions, dude.
Sure.
Just to tone it down and end the podcast. What's your favorite business book,
Business book.
if you have one?
I've really been kind of on a kick with this guy. His name's Coach Michael Burt.
Okay.
He's a business coach. He was actually a basketball coach
Uh-huh.
for many years, won some girls' state championships, but talks about activation of the prey drive,
Mm-hmm.
which is kind of interesting. Talks about like, you really hear like the prey drive in like animals, right? Like they're seeking prey, but it's like, it's really in a human too, right?
Yeah.
Obviously in a good way, in a business way. How do you activate that prey drive? How do you keep that prey drive turned on to go do these hard things like sales, having hard conversations?
Right.
So, yeah, the book's called Prey Drive.
If you weren't in the trucking or porters world, what do you think you'll be doing right now?
I don't know. I mean, I feel like there's some really great opportunities, like obviously dealing with outside partners that aren't necessarily connected to our business, but like insurance,
Mhm.
financial services, banking, like some sort of sales.
Right.
You know, I don't know, you know, whatever I could sell that I really believe in. Like
Right.
that's something that for us, like I believe in what I sell.
Yeah. You have to.
Yeah.
Yeah, you have to.
So I think something in sales. Like I liked sales. I like talking to people. you know.
Nice. Last question, legacy. When it's all said and done, how do you want to be remembered?
I'd like to be, you know, for professional work wise, like probably, you know, the expert or the leader in non-asset based, highly perishable food and produce transportation, like the go-to guy.
Yeah.
You know, obviously a great friend, great family man, great husband, just an all around good guy, right? Like
Yeah.
you don't want someone showing up to your funeral and, you know,
Yeah.
like, oh, he was an ass.
Yeah. Yeah.
Right? Like, you
No,
don't want
especially
that.
like if they see the logo. Like,
Yeah.
oh, that's cool.
Yeah.
Right there. Yeah.
Yeah.
They're a great company.
So,
I met that guy. He's
yeah,
great,
you know, fair, honest. You know, I've really learned in the trucking business, you got to have a lot of empathy,
Yeah.
a lot, you know,
Yes.
because what drivers do day in, day out, you know, is very difficult. Like, and I'm not
It's not
talking,
easy.
I'm not talking about, oh, you're away from home for days or weeks at a time. I'm talking about you've been sitting at a shipper all day
Mm-hmm.
waiting, and you got to drive all night to get to that receiver at 4 o'clock in the morning. That's 400 miles away, you know, and it's like, when's the last time you drove your car from Salinas to LA leaving at 10 p.m.
Yeah.
right? And not
Yeah.
feeling tired,
Right.
right? Regardless if you got a 2 or 3 hour cat nap at 3 o'clock.
It's not
but-
the same.
it's
Yeah.
not.
Yeah. It's
and
not
you're
the same.
driving an 80,000 pound missile,
Yeah.
right? You're not driving a Honda Civic or an
Yeah.
Accord.
Yep. I
Right.
agree with you.
So, just a lot of empathy.
What advice would you give to an entrepreneur out there looking at this episode saying, you know what, I want to get into it, I'm afraid? What advice would you give to that individual? It doesn't matter what type of business they're starting.
Yeah, I don't think it matters what type of business. I really think in today's world, it's kind of unfortunate. Like you see the Instagram, you see the Facebook, the TikTok, like these entrepreneurs, or so-called entrepreneurs, they
Yeah.
show you the glitz and glam.
Yeah.
And sure, there's times, very small times, like you know, you're in business, like, but most of the time it's very, very, very hard.
Yeah.
And you're faced with constant struggle, hard decisions, you know, and really knowing like that's what it is, right? Like that's the entrepreneur,
Yeah.
right? Like that's the not sexy part that no one talks about,
Yeah.
right? So regardless of how hard it is, like just keep going, right? Because it doesn't matter, like you said, what business you're in, like it's a struggle,
Yeah. It is.
right? So you just gotta figure out, hey, how do I embrace or like handle this struggle, right? How do I take this struggle and turn it into an opportunity?
Yeah.
So if you're an entrepreneur and you're trying anything, like expect the struggle. Like if you're struggling, you're doing it right.
Right.
Right? Don't think like, oh, I'm doing it wrong. No, if you got the struggle,
Doing it right.
it's for real.
Yeah, I like that, dude. I like that. Well, bro, that concludes our episode today. I mean, I really loved it. You took me back.
That was awesome, man.
Took me back to the old days with my dad, and I mean, damn, yeah, dude. I love your story. I like how you came up and where you at right now. I'm really proud, and I just wish you nothing but success. I hope we continue.
Yeah,
Talking. I know I
it.
mentioned off air that my little brother wants to take over my dad's business. Hopefully, you give me some pointers because I know that the industry right now is kind of like
tough.
Yeah. So maybe you could give us some guidance in that aspect. But other than that, dude,
however we can help.
Thank you for being here. I appreciate you.
Thank you for having
but
me.
Before we end this, dude, I forgot to give you a gift at the beginning, dude.
Man.
But we just started talking, dude, and I forgot. But we got some beef jerky from Hoax Beef Jerky. So
awesome.
enjoy it
I
right there, dude.
it.
No, thank you, man. Thank you. Enjoy it. And if you ever want to order some beef jerky from her, I'll send her link, and then you can just order. She has a lot of flavors, dude. Cool. And I know you like it. I love them, dude. The guys here love them. So, yeah.
Awesome.
Yeah.
I'll dive into it.
Yeah, thank you, dude. But again, thanks for being here. I appreciate it. Hopefully next time we dive in more a little bit on the trucking business. But I just wanted people to know you.
Yeah.
And I wanted people to know how you came up, your story, and the hard work you put in to become the vice president and co-owner of the company, and then to let everybody know that everybody could work hard and get to that point.
That's it. Hard work.
All right, brother. Thank you.
Thank
We're
you.
out, guys. Peace.